Hello, everyone. Welcome back to DJ and the Zooms. I am Jay, and today we had to be joined by Andy because it is the last episode of this season. We'll see about what I do during the off season, but our favorite guests for
Hi.
this final episode, now that we know more about who is champion, welcome, Andy.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one because there's plenty to talk about, and I'd love to hear how it felt like for you during the race.
It was okay, let's get into it right away. It was extremely stressful, and it's been stressful for the past 2 weeks at least. Never really easy around Las Vegas either, because remember what happened in 2023 when Lando had this massive crash, and for kind of a while we didn't know how he was. We knew he'd been taken to the hospital, and that was it. I can confirm that I did spend that entire day stress cleaning my entire apartment. So I don't keep a very good memory of it. And now every time Vegas happens, I'm kind of on edge. And the triple header was exhausting with how stressful it was. And because at some point, like for a while, I really thought Qatar was going to be it. That we knew that if Lando ended up higher than the 6th place in the sprint and won the race, that he'd be world champion. And I was pretty sure it was going to happen, and then it didn't. And I can tell you I did not sleep for a week.
I can imagine.
How did you live this time?
For me, because I'm a neutral, I was entertained. I was looking forward to it. I was looking forward to all the 3 races, and yeah, it was good for me. It's good for me to just be on the outside looking in and just be entertained as a neutral.
Yeah, the great thing was that it meant we had drama up until the very end.
Yeah, that's what you want. As a neutral, you want it to go all the way to the last race, and you wanted to. Admittedly, I wanted the last race to be a bit more entertaining, but it was still you were still on your edge of your seat.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah,
especially when Leclerc was there, and then Norris had to go through the traffic, and then obviously there's Sonoda. There was still drama in there.
Yeah, it wasn't packed full of drama, but we still had things to be entertained by. And even myself, like, I was stressed out, but still, I liked it. I liked the fight going all the way to the end. And also, I think there's something a little more differently magical about being crowned world champion in Abu Dhabi. So that was also a good thing, I think. Going all the way to the end. And then you can also, because that is something that matters to me about Lando's world championship, is everything possible under the sun has been thrown at him this season, and still he's come to winning the championship at the end. Because obviously, I don't know how online you are exactly, but you must have read at least once someone saying that Lando will be the most undeserving world champion that ever existed. People have been saying that a lot lately as it became more and more obvious that he was going to be world champion.
Yeah, I've seen that. Even today, I've seen someone saying he's not a deserving world champion. But from where he came from, was it Zandvoort?
Yeah, the
after
DNF.
Zandvoort. Yeah, after the DNF, I was like, this is Piastri's season. No one's got a challenge. This is game over. But from where he came from there, and even from before that, obviously, in the UK, he's had some interviews where he said he's made changes outside. He hasn't shared what he changed, but those small changes made a big difference to his driving.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you about a few things that I've heard, because obviously I watch almost all of his interviews, so I know a lot about what he says he's changed. He said he did not drink alcohol during the entire season. He's completely or almost completely turned off social media. And I think that's the most important things that have helped him, because we know one thing that he had to work on was his mental state. And I think removing distractions was
Yeah.
very important and helped a lot.
Yeah, it's well deserved. I think all three of them, even Max said this was his best season. All three of them had their best seasons in Formula One, and yeah, you could kind of argue say each one were deserved, but obviously Norris got the job done. Norris got the most points, so Norris is the one who deserves to win the title.
Yeah. We've had this discussion when a few weeks ago, you asked me who I thought was going to be world champion, and I said I thought it would be Oscar.
Yeah, you did. You did.
Yeah. And so let it be known that I am not completely and entirely unfair. But yeah, no, they all three of them, all 20 of them fought as hard as they could. And obviously Max is Max. And then Oscar and Lando are very extremely good drivers and had the McLaren. I came across a post a few days ago of a guy who reacted to the comments about the McLaren being the fastest car, and so Lando and or Oscar, but mostly Lando, not deserving the championship. And he said that he's in the fastest car. That is the entire point of the sport. And it reminded me of, have you read the Harry Potter books?
No, I can't say I have.
There's a scene in one of the books where the Minister for Magic goes to see the Prime Minister of the UK and explains that this huge, terrible, evil wizard, Lord Voldemort, has come back from presumably the dead, and that is very bad. And the Prime Minister says, but you can do magic. And the Minister for Magic replies, yes, but the other side can do magic too, unfortunately. And that is the thing, like, the McLaren didn't win everything because the other cars are also very fast. And that's the point of the entire sport.
For sure. It's a team sport at the end of the day as well.
Exactly. It's an engineering competition.
Yeah, it is. It is. The drivers just get all the glory. But we look back in history, all the people that say are the GOATs have won in the best car. Max won in the best car. Lewis won in the best car. Senna won in the best car. Prost won in the best car. Yeah. So,
it's the name of the game. That's how it goes.
Yeah, it is.
But obviously, and I think it has to do a lot with social media. I think it's become a trend to hate Lando. I said it multiple times this year, but part of hating Lando publicly to be part of the cool club means denying that he deserves his win, and then you've got to find any reason for it.
Yeah, pretty much. But I've noticed that people who keep winning will just get hate. So is now in that mixed ways winning races. So he'll start getting hate. Admittedly, he's getting more hate than Piastri, but yeah, they're all going to get the hate. Like, look at Max. When Max was winning, everyone hated him, but now everyone's singing the Max song at every races.
Yeah, we love an underdog.
For sure.
If it's perceived that the Red Bull car isn't as good as the other cars, then, of course, everyone's going to root for Max. And he does do incredible things with his car, to be fair.
Yeah, he is a GOAT. Admit he is one of the greatest.
Exactly. Now, talking about Max and Lando, there is something, and I did warn you about this. I've been waiting for a very long time to be able to have this moment. Carlos mentioned this to the media. He said that what's really great about Lando winning the championship this year is that he did it without changing who he is. He did it by staying true to himself and being the maybe emotional guy that some people dislike, but that we've come to know. Something that has always struck me, and I think is important to say, is I can now with my full chest say it is possible to be loved unconditionally by your parents and still be a winner. That's something that I've seen I've been watching Formula One for the past 3 years, but being interested by it for 3 years. And everywhere you see, when you say the way Max Verstappen was brought up is not normal and should not be normalized, a lot of people will come and say, yes, but that made him a world champion, as if somehow it excused the behavior of his father or absolved it in some way. And I think it's very important that we can now say it is not necessary. And yeah, it's possible to be loved by your parents and still be a world champion.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, I don't know much about Max's upbringing, but what I see on social media, I know he was pushed and borderline bullied into performing.
Not
But yeah, no,
borderline.
but Norris and his family and his mother, father, because there was like they're on the coverage a lot this weekend in the UK. So yeah, no, it's good. It's good that a sensitive guy who's not shy, being sensitive in front of the camera, and a nice person can be successful.
Exactly.
Because they'll always say, like, obviously Senna had his streak, Schumacher and Verstappen. They always say you have to be like borderline aggressive,
Ruthless.
it's the tough guy, badass, all that kind of stuff. But no, you can be just a normal dude who's really nice.
And also, you can be really nice and emotional and still be badass.
Yeah, definitely.
I think Lando's badass.
Yeah, they all are, to be fair, all of them.
I mean, yeah, they drive 300 kilometers per hour. Like, you have to be a little crazy and badass to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, that is something that is very, very important to me and that I've been wanting to express openly and loudly for 3 years. I don't want to go back on the terrible, awful things that Jos Verstappen has done to his kid and his ex-wives. That's not it's not the point of this podcast, but he's a peculiar person, and it's good that we kind of put this in perspective of saying it's not necessary.
It's not. And I think, obviously, I don't know much about Joss, but I think he was tough on Max because his own career didn't fulfill the potential that he had. Because Jos Verstappen went through the junior categories and he was really, really good. And everyone was saying he's going to be like the next great. But then he got to Formula One, he teamed up with Schumacher, and he just did poorly. So I think my theory is like he realized he didn't fulfill his potential, so put it all into Max and just forced him.
No, yes, it's a pattern that you see regularly usually we hear about it with like child actors and things like that.
Yeah.
Living vicariously through your kid. The way you explained it made me kind of feel like he made his son into the monster that had beat him, because we see now that being teammates with Max ruins careers. You can have drivers that are extremely good, have been extremely good through all the junior categories as well, and then they get up to Red Bull and their lives are ruined and their careers are ruined because they cannot beat him, because he's such a monster in a good sense. I have a lot of respect for Max, but yeah, we can talk about Yuki. I'm on the fence about Yuki, but he's now, and this is also something that we've discussed in the past when I've always thought I've said all season, this is the last season we're going to see Yuki in a Formula One car. But there's been a whole string of drivers who've come to Red Bull, and now a lot of people online are expressing their concern about Isaac because he's moving up so quick and we don't want to see him burn out.
No, we don't. But hopefully Red Bull is finally learning from their mistakes. Hopefully. But luckily for him, there's a new season coming. So it's like new rules are coming. So there's fresh cars. So it's not built around Max yet. So it's there at the beginning. So he can hopefully steer it to help him as well as Max.
And not only that, there's a lot of things that are different at Red Bull now that, well, are going to be different at Red Bull with, at the same time as Isaac is coming up, Laurent Mekies, who arrived as team principal during this year and who I love and adore. And I'm sure that he's doing really good things at Red Bull. We saw that the car started to get better after he came in. And it was announced today that Helmut Marko is leaving.
Finally.
I wish I had confetti to be honest. Because
Yeah.
as much as I've been saying Red Bull are the Disney villains of Formula One, definitely Helmut Marko is. And now that we're rid of him, we're going to be able to turn to Flavio Briatore, but I think this is going to be a much more difficult thing. But with Helmut not being there, new regulations, Laurent Mekies, who has built something at VCarb, and I'm sure is going to build something also at Red Bull. The one thing that I really don't like about Red Bull is the comparison with Mercedes, as Mercedes being a more nurturing place and Red Bull being more in this ruthless mindset. I think this will change with Laurent.
Yeah, definitely. One other thing that's going to help next year, I think Red Bull won't be a top team next year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think battling in the midfield or below the two or three fastest teams will help Isaac, because then the focus won't be on him as much.
Pressure isn't the same. Do you think we can look at what's been happening the past few years and extrapolate on it to imagine how it's going to go next year? Because I'm trying to, well, I'm not sure we can because of the new regulations. I feel like we don't know anything, but it is my first time seeing a change in regulations in Formula One. So
I think with this regulations, because it's so big, it's going to be more difficult to see who's going to be out on top. So you can only listen to the rumors that you read in the press, the rumors that the presenters say, but then also you have to look at the engine. So if you look in history, Mercedes usually come out with the best engine, and the rumors are that Mercedes will be like having the best engine going forward. And then obviously Red Bull, they're bringing their own engine to the game. So this is the first time they've done their own engines. So there's no way a team doing their first engine in-house is going to be successful. So that's why I think they'll be behind Ferrari, behind McLaren, behind Mercedes. Could even be behind Aston Martin, hopefully, but we'll see.
which engine are Aston Martin using next year?
Aston Martin are using Honda engines next year. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so that they're taking Honda away from Red Bull. So we'll see.
Okay. Well,
And that's the weak for Aston Martin. That's the weak link. The car design, Adrian Newey, that'll be good. It's just the Honda engine that I'm worried about.
are you?
Yeah, because what's his name? Crofty, Sky Sports
Mm-hmm.
commentator. He said that there's rumors that the Honda engine is behind Mercedes because there's a lot of staff that worked on the Honda engine before that have moved away. So now they've come back to the engine side of things. So they're like one step behind other people. So
Okay.
that's my only concern with that.
Right. Well, I guess we'll see. I do hope, because at some point, was it at the beginning of 2024 when Aston Martin were not so bad?
Yeah, 23.
23?
Yeah, when Alonso had like six podiums out of the first 7 races. Yeah, 23.
Yeah, and I liked it. I gotta say,
Yeah.
I usually like it when the older drivers get to be still part of the game.
Yeah, that's good. The rookie, Alonso.
Mm-hmm. The rookie. Yeah, and one thing that with the new regulations, I am hoping that, no, I'm not. I actually have zero hope of it, but I would like to see Ferrari do better. I have been wondering this week, is Ferrari a cult? Because I don't understand. I don't understand how you can see them with your own eyes, the way they have been doing, and still be fascinated by them, attracted to them, and the way, and I'm talking about the drivers, because fans are going to be fans. There are fans of people that I really don't understand why you would be a fan of them. It happens. But the drivers who are supposed to kind of know more and want to win, I suppose, I don't understand how they're still so attracted to the red car.
Yeah, well, it's the history. It's Ferrari. When just talking about my own experience, when you grow up and you play with toy cars, the first car you get is a Ferrari, and so yeah, you fall in love with Ferrari that way. And I don't know, it's just Ferrari. It's Ferrari. It's the team. It's not Red Bull racing energy drink. It's Ferrari.
Okay, I know, I understand that, but also,
Yeah. Obviously, when you look at recent history, they are kind of embarrassing. But I think they have a culture in Ferrari that isn't encouraging to their staff to be free, if that makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah.
But when I talk to my brother about it, that I compare them to the mafia. They're
Hmm.
like too scared to do something wrong, else they'll get fired.
Yeah.
So compare that to James Vowles at Williams, who's letting everyone be free, letting everyone express themselves, and you can see the car improving. And then next year, they could be one of the top teams as well.
Yeah. I love James Vowles. I love him so much. But I thought that this was the issue at Ferrari, but that Fred Vasseur was trying to change that. But he's been here for a moment now, and it doesn't seem to really move significantly. And then you get the comments by John Elkann, and
Yeah, I think, yeah. Well, I think those comments were aimed at Hamilton. It wasn't really a dig at Leclerc. I think because
definitely.
Hamilton does talk a lot in the. I remember he did a press conference once and he said how he did a presentation to the top guys in Ferrari and the things that they need to improve on or adapt that he'd learnt from Mercedes. So I think he was referencing that
Mhm.
when he said it.
Certainly, but also it is something that I've been talking about since the beginning of this podcast and the podcast that I had last year, which my firm belief that Ferrari needed someone to come in and to say, this is what we need, and now we're going to do it. And I thought the problem was that Charles didn't have maybe the confidence or maybe the strength of mind to say something and stick to it. And also, I think Charles is too impressed by Ferrari to try something like that.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
thought Lewis, who is Lewis Hamilton, he's a seven-time world champion, some would say 8, and he's got all this sort of aura that means that he can say things, he can have political opinions in the paddock and express them, and he can be an influential person on the international scene outside of the sport. I thought, if this guy comes in and says, listen, I've worked for this much time in Formula One and I've won championships and I know how we can do it. Come on, follow me and we'll do this. And this is the belief that I've had ever since I watched the Schumacher documentary, because it seemed very obvious that Michael Schumacher had come into Ferrari and sort of prompted everyone to rally around him and guided them to victory. And I thought they
yeah, dude.
needed a figure like that. But
Yeah,
if
yeah, they do.
but apparently they're just refusing.
My only argument is, my only comeback to that is, if they would listen to him more if he was producing the results. If he came in and did what Schumacher did and led the team through driving, getting the results, easily beating Leclerc, and then just saying, this is how it should be done, then they're more likely to listen to him. But because he's not the prime Lewis Hamilton, unfortunately, he's on the back foot.
Yeah, but then it's an endless circle. He's not winning because they're refusing to do what he says, and so they're refusing to do what he says because he's not winning.
Yeah, yeah.
It never ends. And I don't know. I mean, I've been saying all season that I've been talking too much about Ferrari and how disappointed I am, but still, I've always got more to say.
Yeah.
To say nothing, because in the end,
No, they've been a disappointment, even for neutrals. Remember that day when Hamilton was revealed at the wherever it's called, with that suit on and everything, and how
yeah,
the
the
internet just
beautiful
went
picture.
wild. Yeah, and
It's
now look where it's ended up.
exactly.
It's just a shame. You never know. Next year, literally every team down the grid is literally saying next year could be the year. So,
Yeah.
and Ferrari did stop early to start development of next year, so we'll see. And Lewis Hamilton fans say that it doesn't like this generation of cars, so maybe next year is a car that suits him better than this year.
Yeah, I heard that this generation of cars was just not his thing at all from the beginning, and maybe with the new regulations that's going to change.
on the flip side, you would expect a goat to be able to drive all different types of cars fast. So that's my only concern. As age finally got him.
Yeah, it is a question that I've started to ask myself as well, but I don't want to. So
No.
it's just see, that's also the sort of blind belief in Ferrari that people have because they're Ferrari. I sort of have in Hamilton because he's Hamilton. I knew him before I got into Formula One, and I don't want to think that he's done.
No, because no, it's not done. He's got one more season to prove he's not done, but he's not done yet.
Yeah, that would be so cool if he got.
Yeah.
But then if Lewis gets the championship next year, it means that it's not Fernando.
No, no, no. But I'll take a few wins, just 1 or 2 wins minimum. I'll be
Yeah,
happy with that.
that'd be good. Let's hope that everyone can get a win
Yeah,
next year.
hopefully. History says no, but hopefully.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, it sounds surreal, but it would be fun.
It would. Ideally, if you said it's Ferrari versus Aston Martin, and then it's Lewis Hamilton versus Alonso for the title, and obviously for me, Alonso wins. But yeah, that'll be a dream season for me.
But see, that's the thing. If it's Ferrari versus Aston Martin,
Mhm.
it's a lot more difficult for Alonso because Ferrari has 2 drivers.
Well, you could say Alonso has Stroll to play any backup tactics or
Mm.
any supporting role.
Yeah, they could have Stroll be the Checo or Valtteri of Alonso.
Yeah.
One thing that I noted that I wanted to talk about was, and it has nothing to do with anything that we've talked about until now, Alex Albon being the highest scorer of the midfield. I am so proud of him. I did start the season saying I hope he wipes the floor with Carlos. It did not happen, but still he did better than him, and I'm happy. I love
Yeah.
Alex Albon. I think he's an excellent driver. I wish he could be in a better car, and I'm hoping for Williams to be fighting a little higher next year so that we can see more of his and Carlos's potential.
Yeah. No, Williams done well, considering they said that they're not going to develop the car as much. Another team that's focusing on 26. I think I haven't followed his season as much as probably you have, but all I can remember is Sainz getting the podiums. So he's like on my mind as getting the highest results. But Sainz struggled at the beginning, it got better at the end. So it'll be interesting to see if that trajectory continues next year.
It does take time to get accustomed to a new car and a new team, so it makes sense that Carlos struggled at the beginning where Alex was already comfortable with it. And next year, I suppose they will be on a level playing field because they'll both discover this new car and the new regulations. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
That's a
see what
good
it
point.
looks
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, well, but no, it's done well. Top of the midfield. If Alonso didn't have as much unlucky races at the beginning, it would have been close. Let me just say that. But
No,
I'll
I agree.
tip my cap to Albon.
Because Alex is one of the drivers that almost got torpedoed by being Max's teammate. So I'm really glad to see that not only has he been able to come back to the grid, but he's also still holding on to it and fighting for it. And he's able to show what he's got.
He's also another Norris in the sense that he's a nice guy. He's got all his cats outside of work, outside of Formula One. So
Yeah, listen, I'll admit it. I like nice guys, gentle guys, soft guys. So I like Lando and I like Alex.
that's good.
Coming back to how nice, wonderful, and perfect Lando is, I noted that it is something that I really wanted to talk about is the fact that in the interviews that he gave after winning the championship, so right after the race at Abu Dhabi, I noted he gave all the other drivers their flowers. Really what I meant was the fact that he kept bringing up Max and Oscar in the interviews that he gave. and saying he didn't have to bring Max up a lot because everyone was talking about him already, which is logical because Max has won the last 4 and he's a menace. So obviously everyone's thinking about him when it comes to championships at the moment. And also Lando only beat him by 2 points. So he was breathing down his neck, and it makes sense. But Lando always kept talking about Oscar and saying, he's pushed me all season and he's a very good driver and I want to celebrate with him. And I thought that was very important. It is something that I wanted to talk about because it's important to me to keep in mind that they are humans and boys that mostly have grown up together. And see, now the thing that is coming to my mind is a fight that happened between, I think it was Lando and Charles at one point in the season, where they overtook each other in turn like 2 or 3 times. And the one thing that I kept thinking watching that was, they must be having so much fun because that's what they love doing at the end of the day. They're all doing what they love to do together. I think they're very aware that there's only 20 of them in the entire world and they have a lot of respect for each other. And I just love it. It's wholesome.
You're right. I think there was an interview that Norris said before the race this weekend, and I think it did say that. It did say, like, whatever happens, paraphrasing now, but I think he said something like, whatever happens, I'm still a Formula One driver, and there's only 20 of us in the world that do this, so we're all special, and it's like we're lucky to be doing something so special. So yeah, no, it was good. It's good that it was grounded like that.
Yeah, and it's inspiring. So I loved it.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, the Lewis Hamilton and his what's his name? I can't remember his name. But the message at the end where he got
Yes.
where the blanked him basically.
Right. Did you see that?
I didn't hear it live, but I saw it on Instagram and I read it on Instagram. Yeah.
Exactly. So apparently Lewis said something about thanking his engineer and saying, I'll always fight for you.
Yeah.
And he got no reply back.
Yeah.
But also apparently Lewis pointed out that this is the message you're not going to reply to.
Oh, what's his name? Sorry.
I want to say,
I feel like it begins with an A.
I wanted to say Ricardo Adami or something.
Yeah.
Could it be that?
Ricardo something surely, but I feel they need to change that relationship next year. Either work on it during the winter or just change because it's not working. It hasn't worked this season. There's a amount of messages that that's come up that's been embarrassing on Ferrari.
It's not the first time we talk about this, even
No,
you and
it's not.
I. And I'm sure it's extremely difficult for Lewis to not only change teams, but he's been working with Bono for a really long time. And so you've got to adapt to a new way of working with a new person. We know how important it is to build a relationship with your race engineer, and to the point that you're able to communicate enormous amounts of information with very little words. And it doesn't seem to be working between Lewis and Ricardo.
Oh no, it's not because they need to, the race engineer needs to paint the picture of what's happening and also give the driver confidence. So all this dilly dallying, not giving the right information, just being weird. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because they come from different countries or I don't know. It just doesn't feel like they're clicking at all.
Maybe, but like I feel like there are driver and engineer pairings that come from different countries. See, the exact same thing with Antonelli and Bono. Because Antonelli's Italian and
Yeah.
Bono's, I suppose, British.
Yeah, British, yeah.
He is, right? And it is working. But then also, I mean, I don't know much about Ricardo, but maybe it's because we know Lewis and have so much respect and reverence for Lewis. And Bono just sort of, it's the translation that's not doing itself in my brain at the moment. Let's say that Lewis's aura is shining on Bono. But I have enormous amounts of respect for him. And I was very happy that, because I was so scared that Kimi was going too fast in such a big team. The one thing that reassured me was the fact that he was going to be paired with Bono, and I knew he was in good hands. Maybe this is what's missing. Lewis needs
Yeah,
someone who's going to be more assured and reassure him.
I think I remember at the beginning of the year when because we still weren't sure if Bono was going to move with Hamilton. And then when I read that he wasn't going, I was like, oh, I didn't think it would be as important as it turned out to be. But I thought, that's not good for Lewis. It'd be better if he did go with him. But yeah, it's been a bit of an issue this year.
Yeah, and we've seen, because I think it all makes sense. If you see the comments that Lewis has made, it seems that I'm completely imagining here and extrapolating based off my own behavior in life. But it seems that Lewis is a very anxious person who needs to be reassured. And if you don't put someone with him that's going to center him, he's going to go all over the place. And Bono was
Yeah,
that person. And if you don't find an engineer that can do the same type of work, it's not going to work.
yeah. No, you're right. I think this Lewis Hamilton in this period of his career, he's having a lot of questions that he's never had to deal with before. So he needs that encouragement and bond with someone who's going to build
Do
him
you
up.
think he's never had to deal with this before? Or do you think he was helped to manage it differently before?
I think there's something Nico Rosberg said on Sky Sports. He said this is the first time where Lewis is questioning, like, do I still have it?
Mm,
That's a question that he would never have asked because he would have been winning and beating all his teammates. He nearly beat Alonso in his rookie year. Some people say he did, but they were tied on points. But that's a different story. He nearly beat Alonso in his rookie year, beat all his teammates. He won all those titles. It was good. He was the goat during his
yeah.
prime. He was the best. But now, it started with Russell, and then now Ferrari. This is the first season he's gone through without a podium, and Leclerc's easily beaten him. 3 Q1 exits. These are questions in his head where he's like,
Yeah.
do I still have it?
Yeah. Okay. Fair. As much as I don't want to admit it.
I
It
know,
is
I
fair.
know, I know.
No, but and also Nico Rosberg. I love Nico, but
Yeah.
most of the time I feel like he's as salty as I am, so I feel like we're kindred spirits, but also you can't always believe everything that I say because I'm always going to be glazing Lando and hating on Carlos. And I think it's the
Yeah.
same as Nico. But yeah, in this case, okay, I'll admit it.
Yeah, but we'll see, we'll see what happens. They could go off on Bond, this Ricardo and Lewis could spend a winter together in a retreat and become best friends.
It
We
doesn't
never know.
sound like that's what's going to happen because I don't know if you
And
saw this, but Lewis said, nobody's going
yeah,
to be able to reach me. I'm not taking my phone with me.
unplugging from the Matrix.
And in a way, I think it's good for him. He needs and deserves it. In another way, maybe it also means that he's starting to step away.
Yeah, yeah. Similar to what Lando at the beginning of the year. I think Lewis needs that mental support from someone. Like
Hmm.
if he is unplugging from the Matrix, he needs to see someone, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And as vulnerable and open as Lando is, he has a gigantic support system around him. There's a lot of people who adore him and who are there to support him. Even in his close circle, I'm not just talking about his fans who adore. When I say, I'm just catching myself because I use the word adore, and maybe that's a lot. But his parents, his siblings, his friends who seem so loyal and supportive of him. I'm not sure that I've seen this around Lewis, at least recently.
No, no, that's a good point. I don't really see him with anyone really. Like even his father's not there recently.
Mm-hmm.
Like I haven't seen him at a race. I think the only race I saw him at was when he put his arm around.
Isaac Agile.
Yeah, yeah, that was Australia.
That
Was
was
that Australia?
Australia. That was the very
Oh, yeah.
first race of the season.
I know you're right. Plus, Norris's manager has been there from the very beginning as well. So even his personal manager's been
His
loyal.
manager, his trainer, I think his trainer has been with him since he was 12 years old. They've all literally seen him grow up from a little boy, from the little boy who had to be velcroed to his cart.
Yeah, it was a little boy.
Yeah. Did you know that? Did you know that he had to be velcroed to the seat of
Didn't know,
the go-kart? Because he
no, I
was
didn't know that.
flying around, he was so light.
Crazy.
So yeah, there's maybe it's absolutely certain. This sort of pressure obviously takes a toll on you, and you have to be well surrounded to be able to stand it and to go through it and to keep giving your all in this situation.
Yeah, and that Lewis is not going to have much time off because January they're going to start testing already. So whatever he's doing on this retreat, unplugging Matrix thing, he needs to do it fast.
I think I remember hearing very long time ago that you need 3 weeks to be completely rested from work. Hopefully, a month will be enough for him.
Hopefully.
Anyway, anything else?
Let me think. No, I think we covered it all. We covered it all, the main points.
Yeah, I think so too. Thank you very much for joining me today, for making the time, even though you've got a busy schedule. What I don't understand what that idea of having a real life job is, but okay. So thank you so much.
Been a pleasure, honestly. It's been a good season. It's a good season to end it with, and a good end of the season to end it with. So
Yeah.
it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, we've been treated this year.
Yeah. Last time 3 people went into the last race being able to win the championship was 2010.
15 years.
Yeah, crazy.
And to everyone who's been watching, thank you for watching and listening until the end. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, share the videos, the posts on Instagram or YouTube and Spotify. You can also give 5 stars to the podcast on Spotify. As I said, I don't know yet how I'm going to handle the off season. I've been thinking of a few things, but if you don't hear from me until January or February, don't send anyone to look for me. I'll just be at home, not recording episodes. I love you. Bye bye.